All right. Thank you, Monica, for setting the stage. And I thought I'll take a few moments just to talk about my experiences and what has happened and how I see AI and CX coming together, right? But yeah, one of the things that I did reflect upon was no matter how much AI and CX advances, I don't know whether it's going to solve the puzzle that is Bangalore. Bangalore is a puzzle where time and distance don't seem to make any sense whatsoever. The normal laws of physics don't hold true. It was showing 30 minutes in the morning. It turned out to be 2.5 hours by the time I came to Bangalore to this place. So yes, so I don't see AI ever be advanced enough to solve this problem. But that said, what does AI solve for, and what are the things that we can see going forward and how things will evolve? Actually, before I get into it, just let me reflect on how consumer experiences have changed over the last 5 to 10 years. If you look back at the pre-COVID era, all of us, of course, were digitally connected. All of us were digitally savvy. We ended up engaging with a lot of our brands online. For example, me personally, I would book tickets online, and a lot of us have booked tickets online even pre-COVID. Right? We would end up booking taxi rides, order food online. That's not changed. That's the same experience that we continue to do today. That's the same engagement with the products and services that we continue to do today. What has changed is actually the consumer expectations. The consumer expectation now is not just that you solve a problem for me, but actually to give me a complete seamless experience. The consumer expectation of today is to say, you need to know me across all of my touch points. You need to know what I want. You need to know my preferences. You need to know how I engage with you as a brand, how I engage with you as a service, and then customize what I would want from you in the offering that you give me. And honestly, just knowing my name is a starting point, knowing my preferences, knowing my tendencies, knowing what to give, what not to give is actually what a deeper consumer experience is all about. And that's what consumers expect of today. Now, it's not that the consumer expectations evolve. If you ask your parents, if you ask your colleagues, that was a consumer expectation that was there 10 years ago. What we have as an opportunity today is now with AI and tech, we have an ability to give that solution. The expectations that are there is now being able to be met with the kind of solutions that you have through AI and technology, and that's what we should leverage and use as organizations. How do we actually deliver superior consumer and customer experiences across the spectrum of touch points that we have as an organization? Now, what I'll do is just talk a bit about what we do in HUL and how our consumer and customer interactions are there. Right? Now, overall, India is about what, 1.5 billion people, broadly. That's broad mathematics. There are about 9 million odd retail stores across the country. 9 million, so one retail store for mathematics, 150 odd people which is there. So 150 odd people go to every single Kirana store. See, these Kirana stores have been in the very fabric of the country for multiple decades, and they've been there for the existence of centuries. These are the Kirana stores that all of us, all of our parents, grandparents, our kids end up going to actually make their daily shopping, and that's not going to change. New commerce is going to come, e-commerce is going to come, the way of ordering is going to change, new retailers are going to come, that's going to change. But these Kirana stores have been resilient, they evolve, they change, but they continue to be very embedded in the fabric of our nation. So we've got close to about 9 million odd Kirana stores who end up selling FMCG products. Of course, a lot more other stores who end up catering to, let's say, fresh goods, electronics, etc. coming there, right? So that's the number of Kirana stores that you have. If you look at how the supply chain works at the back end, there's an entire supply chain that all organizations do to end up making sure that the products reach the Kirana store on time. Whether it's the factories, the production that happens, and after the production, going to the clearing and forwarding agents, from there to the distributors, and from there to the sub-distributors, and on to the Kirana stores. It's a huge network of ecosystem that exists on the logistics setup to make sure that you give a superior experience. Now at HUL, of course, we end up reaching close to about 2.5 odd Kirana stores directly via products are there in all the 9 million stores that are there. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What we need as an organization to understand is the fact that each of the players in our ecosystem, each of the players in our consumer value chain have a different requirement. And our consumer and customer experience that we give to each of these touch points needs to be intrinsically different. How many of you have ordered? I'm assuming all of you have ordered from a Swiggy, a Zepto, any Instacarts, all of them you'd have ordered, right? Anybody who's not ordered? Okay, I don't see any hands up. I'm assuming all of you have ordered. Any of you have ever glanced at the person who comes to deliver to your doorstep? Any of you have glanced at their application? Anybody? Any show of hands? A few of you have, right? Sometimes they take a photo of what they deliver. Have you guys noticed that? Right. Sometimes they end up asking you for a confirmation on what they deliver. Right. Intrinsically, if you possibly just unpeel and step back, the consumer interface or the application interface that you have compared to what the delivery person has is intuitively different, right? Because the experience that you expect from what you place an order for versus what is expected from the delivery person when he completes it is different, right? And hence the experience that we need to give needs to be different. The underlying technology stacks would be the same. The underlying analytics layer would be the same. The underlying data flows will be the same, but your user experience needs to be different. And that's what we need to do, is to say, look, you can't have a one-size-fits-all consumer experience and application that you talk about. You need to have data stacks and layers which are synergistic. But when you build layers on top, whether it is analytics, whether it's visualization, whether it's democratization, the application flows need to be very different across each of the stakeholders. And that's what we have, is multiple stakeholders have multiple different UI, UX interfaces, have different ways and means of how they engage. So, for example, a distributor would have solutions that you need on warehouse management systems. The front-end consumer would need to have a D2C application. A back-end player would need to have logistics solution, and the application needs to be very different, right? And I'll spend a minute possibly talking about one of the applications here. So this is an application that we have from an eB2B perspective. A lot of you would have placed orders from a consumer perspective on placing orders on Amazon, Flipkart, Zeptos, and all of the other B2C applications that are there. Shikhar is a B2B application. Shikhar is the name of the application that we have. What Shikhar does is it enables Kirana stores to actually place an order online at any point of time. And if you look at how retailers place the order, most Kirana stores end up placing order at the time when the distributor salesman visits them. Right? And you can't have a distributor salesman pretty much parked at each of the stores, and hence you have a certain frequency of order. An application which gives you is essentially an ability for the retail stores to place an order at any point of time, right? So you don't wait for the salesman to come. You have this up to your fingertips. You have a greater experience. You browse more products. You see what the engagements are. You see what the pricings are. You see what your engagement with the organization needs to be, right? So whether it's the kind of ledger that you have, the kind of balance, the kind of payment systems, a lot of this becomes a one source application that is there. And of course, the basic principles of whether the personalization of application, making sure the right products are available, is all of theirs in the application. Again, some of the things that we need to be aware of as we build the consumer experience, right? So this happened, I think a few weeks back. I won't tell you the name of the app that I did it. I bought an umbrella, small umbrella that was there. I bought an umbrella. 2 days later, I log into the application. And what do I see? Ads for umbrellas. Man, you have a blue umbrella, I have a red umbrella, I have a spotted umbrella. Man, I bought an umbrella last week. Why the hell are you showing me an umbrella again today, right? And you need to be clear of what you're doing for the consumer experience. Data signals need to be interpreted in the right manner. You can't duplicate the same data signal and forecast it in the future, assuming that some of the purchase is not being completed. Come on, you have the information at your fingertips. Use it to the best of your abilities to make sure what the next possible engagement that you need with the consumer. Might not even be a purchase occasion, and that's what we need to be very clear. It might not need to be it needs to be an engagement, not just a purchase occasion. And that's what Shikhar essentially does, is to make sure that you have a right amount of engagement with the retailer. What we also do is, with this, we are using some capabilities to help the retailers sell more. Right? The retailers have WhatsApp groups. Some of you might be part of WhatsApp groups for your own Kirana shops which are there. The retailer sends out orders saying, offers saying, look, these are the kind of offers that I have, products that are there, what are the kind of assortment of SKUs that I have in the stores, the pricing that's available. And you end up having a broadcast group that is there. What we've done is, using AI, we have a celebrity who's now able to now use technology and give out the kind of products, the kind of offers, the kind of store that's available in, which then can get customized by every single store owner. I actually hope this AV plays without volume, but that's fine. So this is essentially an application where the person can actually talk about the kind of store that's available, saying that what Ashad is saying, that so many products are available in ABC store, and in ABC store they are able to access XYZ products, and that's what can be customized by every single retailer that's there across the country. We actually ran it about a few quarters back. out of the 2 odd million retailers that we end up covering, we got about 10 to 15% of them actually using this, creating their own application, customizing it with their own names of the supermarket, names of the kirana store that is there, sending out the kind of products that are there with them and sending it out to the larger audience. And what it builds is, for the retailers, it's a way to engage with their shoppers. Rather than sending a normal WhatsApp, it's a kind of experience that you give them to say, how do you actually propagate it out? And this is us as an organization not just using AI for our own direct engagement, but enabling our partners to actually use it for their business building. And this is one of the amazing means that we need to ensure that we use and leverage AI and technology for, is not just within the organization for our touch points, but also how do we actually partner with the stakeholders, partner with our business partners to actually help drive their business growth across. So that's just one simple example of what we've done with the B2B platform. I'll actually shift gears and talk to you a little bit about what the other side of it, which is our consumer engagement platforms are, right? How many of you work in advertising agencies? Anybody here? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have the bad news of what AI and technology is doing to all the agencies, right? So when we worked with agencies before, when you have to create a content, that would take a very long lead time, right? So you actually had to brief the agencies with a certain creative that's required, with the business idea that's required, the consumer target audience, and it takes a long time. It's actually not just the first creation that's difficult. The first creation is always difficult because ideation takes time. What actually is more challenging and painful is after you ideate and you come out with an idea, iterations and improvements and changes on that, and the testing of whether that works is a mammoth exercise. You change one small part of the creative, and that you need to go into testing again, takes you a good 4 to 5 weeks. And you realize another part of it that you need to change, again takes you another 4 to 5 weeks. What we'll be able to do with AI that we've done is actually to make sure that this process is completely seamless and this process is online. So a huge amount of grunt work, which essentially means a lot of our content, almost all of our content that we put up in an e-commerce sites is now tagged. And it's tagged across 80 to 90 different attributes, the kind of contrast, the kind of setting, the kind of font size, the kind of font backgrounds that's coming in, whether you need an indoor-outdoor setting, whether you need a model, you need a product, you need a pack shot, what kind of attributes. And it's a lot of grunt work to actually tag those attributes. It took us a good 6 to 9 months to actually identify the attributes, tag those attributes, and then teaching the system to actually recognize those attributes. This is not intuitive, and this is where AI comes to saying that once you start putting in the data and once you start learning, then it becomes a virtuous cycle. And then the system starts learning by itself, starts improving by itself. And that's why what we have is a content management system. This content management system now is able to recognize every single content piece and what's good, what's bad about each of those content pieces, which essentially means at a click of a button, you get to know whether your content is good or bad. And more importantly, what is not good and what is not bad, because that's often the challenge, right? You can intuitively figure out whether it works or not works, but how do you actually improve that content piece? And that's the CMS, which is the content management system that we have on in our systems here that we deploy in e-commerce platforms, where we actually use the right content pieces deployed. And of course, that's given us great joy in terms of whether it's the conversion rates, the CTRs, and the CBRs that have come through. Now, while these are just capabilities that are there, I thought I'll spend the last couple of minutes just talking about what is it that's needed. And I'll talk about 2 different aspects of it. And the one part of it, which is the hard yards, is actually the technology side. Unless you have a very strong data foundation, everything that you do is going to be useless. You need to have a very strong data foundation. That data foundation takes time to build, takes effort to build, takes intent to build. And once you build the data stacks and the data platforms, then you need to build the right analytics layers on top and the right visualization layers on the top of that. And these analytics and visualization layers are what AI and technology will help to keep enhancing and improving over time. But the base data stacks and the base data layers is a one-time hard investment that we need to do as each organization, because without which every single layer that you build on top, if your foundations are weak, your building is going to crumble. So building a strong foundation is time-consuming, energy-consuming. This is not glamorous work. This is hard yards that you need to put in. But once you've done that, it also needs to have a cultural shift across the organization. And this is extremely critical for us to be aware of as we work, no matter the size of the organization that we work in. The fact of the matter is, AI and technology is now evolving at such speed that every single Monday that you wake up, there's some new release that's happened over the weekend. And whether it's a new kind of AI model that's coming in, the new kind of technology that's coming in, the new kind of solution that's coming in, you need to be able to make sure that you are agile. You can't wed yourself to a single way. You can't wed yourself to a single system. You can't wed yourself to a single process. Agility and your ability to be modular is extremely critical in everything that you build. The other part of it is, as organizations, as individuals, speed of decision making is the most important. And recognizing the fact that, look, 80% right and with 0% time is far better than being 90% right and spending half the time in making those decisions. Just let's move forward, take a decision, we'll figure out with tools and technologies whether it's working, whether it's not working, and we'll be able to quickly change, reinvent, pivot, but don't spend time on decision making. And that means that as an organization, we need to recognize the fact that we need to be in a sense of permanent beta, right? I mean, essentially say that, and a lot of us work in the tech side of it. So essentially the fact is your product is never fully ready, but you keep launching with the product that you have because that's the best available product at this point of time. So make sure that you realize the fact that you're in a permanent beta, and hence you don't think of any product as fully baked. That product always will keep going in reinvention. If you're not reinventing the product every few weeks, every few months, then your product is going to become obsolete. Make sure that any product that you put out there in every single touch point, whether it's the consumer or customer, has a product change that happens every 3 to 6 months at a bare minimum, if not faster. And lastly, again, this is my favorite thing, and I mentioned this as well. We often make the mistake of having a great solution without knowing what the problem is. We have great technologies at place. We have great products at place. We have great outcomes. First, figure out what the damn problem that you're solving. If you don't have a sense of what the problem that you're solving, no matter what kind of solutions that you're going to put in place, is going to be pretty useless. If I were in your place, I would spend 90% of my time first trying to understand the problem that I'm solving, then getting into what is the solutions that I have. Very often we get so fixated and so enamored by the product that we build and by the solution that we build. We try to force fit the problem statement and try to use the solutions on every single problem, when the reality is, honestly, the problem that you're trying to solve and the product that you're using have absolutely no correlation to each other. So makes time and space to understand the problem statement and hence what's the business impact that you're going to create, and then go and try to find a solution for it. Please don't work backwards. That's the single mistake that I see most organizations making. And this is with all the hype that you're seeing with AI technology coming in. You see players coming in, various solutions that are there. We get attracted by the kind of solutioning that are there. But please figure out the kind of problem that exists before using and jumping into the solution that you have. Right. So that's what I had to share with all of you today. I thought I'll leave you guys with a few anecdotes and to say that, look, we often think of the fact that something's out in the future. This is not going to hit us now. This is something that I can wait and watch and see how things are going to evolve. The reality is this is here now. The future is not out there. The future is today. We need to make sure that we make the changes today. And if we don't create for the future, we will get left behind as the future goes beyond us. Thank you and best wishes on today and to go forward as well.
Thank you so much. Arun, as much as we've enjoyed your talk, we just request you to please join us back on stage, as we'd like a moment to request now Mr. Nikhil Sharma, MMA India Board Member, Managing Director at Perfetti Van Melle India, to please join us for the token of appreciation to be given. Ladies and gentlemen, a big and a mighty round of applause for Arun, as he's been so kind to us. His talk highlighted on using AI to empower the Kirana's consumer engagement channels used at HUL, and of course the core principles which he highlighted. I think it deserves a bigger and a mightier round of applause. Thank you so much, Arun, for joining us at the 5th edition of Data Unplugged right here in Bengaluru, and thank you so much, Nikhil, for helping us in the felicitation of the same.